Thank you, Becky. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So first of all, I just want to thank you guys for putting on an amazing event. I do not get out to Kansas frequently. I am, in fact, from Brooklyn, for real. And contrary to what somebody said earlier, I am born and raised in Brooklyn, a tiny town of 2.5 million people. But something was sort of bugging me over the past few months that I thought was pertinent. And when I know Jeff Pulver a little bit from New York, and when I saw that he was coming out here, I thought it would be really interesting to come out here and talk to you guys about this. I sort of thought about next year. We've got an election year coming up, and I'm not going to politicize this. It doesn't really matter who gets in office. I started thinking to myself, no matter who's on Capitol Hill, no matter who's in the White House, we've got some problems that we'll likely endure, right? I mean, we've got stuff that it won't necessarily be righted the day that somebody new takes office or the day that the same person stays in office. And I started thinking about how I spend my time with friends and folks kind of talking about the problems of the country and whatever, and I said, one day I think I was out having a beer and I was like, God, I really just want to double down my investment in us, in you, and in me. And the things that I do really sort of led me to this belief that I think we can actually network our way to a more self-sustaining way of living that sort of supports this thing that we've started to build. And I think that it starts with a lot of the thinking that underpins smaller towns, this notion of a tight-knit network, this notion of holding up the people and the things that you believe in and really endorsing them and getting on and activating and participating. And then extending that, using this technology that exists, to the bigger digital village that we all sort of come to occupy. So, backing up a second and just reiterating, I'm Ron J. Williams. I'm at Ron J. Dub, like W. And I really do come from Brooklyn, as I said, but I was raised by my mother from Hampton, South Carolina. So if 2.5 million people defines the place where I grew up, the woman who raised me grew up in a town that at the time was about 1,000 folks. So I spent a lot of the summers traveling up and down 95 South, that 14-hour drive to go see family. And what's amazing is that you sort of bring that with you. So I say good morning, and I say thank you, and I say excuse me, and I hold doors. And when I'm with my fiance, I walk on the outside of the street. You know, it's the right thing to do, right? And I'd be lying if I said everybody in New York was like that, but more folks than you'd think, though. And so what that means for me is I really believe there's something in this notion of people that can power transformative kind of change in relationships. So much so that I built a company called Snapgoods, which lets you take anything from anybody safely, rent it, use it, give it back, and makes communities more tight-knit. And I built this largely because I started to see trends in our community and other communities that were working, that were interesting. People learning from other people. People, you know, Kiva is an organization that does micro-lending across the world. They've lent $100 million from regular citizens to other people in other parts of the world to support, I mean, this could be a $10 loan in India that supports a person's actual business. And so I started seeing it working, and it sure worked for me. I mean, the story of Snapgoods is a story of a girl on a motorcycle. I wanted to impress my girlfriend at the time, and it worked. She's gonna marry me next year, so, you know, I won, right? But I started seeing it work in other communities as well, and it really led me to believe that if this could really work, if I really believe in this kind of system, you know, what are the pieces of it that actually make this go? Is it the Facebook retweet? Is it the Facebook comment, the Twitter retweet? What is it that makes this thing that we're all participating in so special? And then I realized that this is ultimately boils down to one thing. We are social creatures. It's not the technology, right? What makes it feel so good? Somebody talked about not tracking your Twitter followers. What makes it so good a feeling when somebody starts following you, when somebody retweets what you've done, or comments on something you've posted on Facebook? Is it because we're all raging narcissists? Some of you might be raging narcissists. I have no idea. But the truth is that we are wired, biochemically, we are wired to respond to people being tapped into what we're doing, to people participating in the narratives of our lives, to people taking equity and ownership in what we do. That's why whether you're excited about cotton, or you're excited about other kinds of agriculture, you're excited about building communities, when other people participate, it feels good. So guess what? It feels good when you do the same in reverse to them. And that's what I'm sort of getting at here. The technology is great, but it takes a switch in mindset. And that switch is, you are not actually alone. It's so easy for me to forget, and for other people where I come from to forget, in a story full of 8 million cities, it's easy to think that yours is a singular story, that you are existing by yourself, that you somehow are unmoored. One of the single biggest corollaries to depression in a place like New York City is a lack of human contact. This is true. What if we take a look at other communities that exist and some of the attributes? Let's go from talking about human beings to the six-legged marauder of picnics, the ant, tiny little animal, amazing animal, can lift 20 to 50 times its body weight. But what's far more impressive about the ant is what it does in concert with its colony. Using pheromones, biochemical little signals, it can send short messages instantaneously that people pick up on and then collectively respond to quickly to defend or look at new opportunities. Sounds an awful lot like Twitter, doesn't it? Yeah, Jack Dorsey didn't invent Twitter, ants did, okay? The point is that there's a collective understanding there. When an ant comes across a pothole, it puts its body in the pothole so that other ants can cross on it, and then it fills that pothole with its body. God, I wish somebody would do that in New York, right? But the truth is that it understands at some deep level that the outcome for the collective is just as important as the outcome for itself. And so maybe this is far-fetched, so I'm gonna bring this to something more concrete. There are 17 million people in America that actually deal with diabetes, and they spend on average $2,000 to $3,000 per year on insulin and diabetes-related medication and services. Is that my problem? Is that your problem if you're not the person that has diabetes?
Yes.
It is, because the change can be small but dramatic. If every single person walked for an hour a day, doctors suggest that there'd be a 34% reduction in the incidence of diabetes. That is literally just jumping up with a friend and going for a bike or a hike or a run or a walk or whatever, and that could result in $5 to $6 billion of savings back into your pockets and my pockets. So is that my problem? Is that your problem? Or is that our problem? Now take that and extend that. There are other situations not unlike that where if you substitute problem or health stuff for businesses, causes, things that we all want to see support for, I think the bombshell said it well. There are people sometimes that think about these things as, what am I here to get? My invitation to you is to invite other people into your story. Invite them to take equity in your life and take equity in theirs. If you think about the fact that from a pragmatic perspective, if your business fails, I should care about that. Because as a fellow entrepreneur, it makes it harder to raise capital. It makes it more daunting. I'm intimidated. The tax burden goes up. And plus, like I said, I really just like people, so I want you people all to do really well, okay? But the point here is, if I take ownership over what you're doing and you take ownership over what I'm doing, ultimately, we all win. The outcomes are better. So you can literally go and invest in We. You can go use services that crowdsource design, like 99 Designs, or a company like Quirky that will literally help you become an inventor. And it'll crowdsource all this stuff, including product design and manufacturing. But if you do nothing else, even if you don't do that kind of stuff, I encourage you to open yourself up, make your story one that people want to invest in, invite them to get into your life, into your narrative, and do the same for them. Take those hometown heroes and that mentality of lifting them up on your shoulders and take it out into the larger digital village that we all occupy. It's your responsibility when you come across good businesses and good causes that you believe in, not just to retweet, not just to lazily press like button, but to embrace supporting those businesses and doubling down your investment in us.